everyone. In today's Literature Times podcast session, we have Dr. Purva Shoor ma'am, who is author of Social Dimensions of Health and Social Pathology. Good afternoon, ma'am, and welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you
So,
for addressing me.
thank you, ma'am. And my first question is, what inspired you to compile this book on social dimension of health?
Basically, social dimension of health is not explained by just one statement. And
Yes,
being the course of community medicine,
yes,
and not many medicos during my 9.5 years of experience as a teacher, not even one student could address this problem.
yes,
Whenever
ma'am.
we took final exams, so I used to ask them questions, and none of
Yes,
them came up with the right social pathology, for which I thought that a detailed presentation of the subject can be produced. And if they read it, although MBBS students might not read this type of rhetoric which is very advanced and very exhaustive, but if teachers read it, they can disseminate to their students as to build up their vocabulary in social health.
yes, ma'am. That's amazing. And how did your experience as a medical educator shape the content of this book?
Content was obvious because there's a book called Mahabala Raju in which we teach students to take detailed history, medico-social history, and
Yes,
in that we talk of social pathology. So my
yes,
aim in conducting this particular book, deciding the contents, I have described all kinds of factors, social factors like caste, religion, education, health services, life cycle approach, or
yes,
financial constraints, culture. So all these are
yes,
in detail in the Indian context, and somewhere we have compared also with other countries to understand
yes,
it better.
yes, ma'am.
Plus, we have added some what do you call this thing uh, systems approach. There was a
Okay,
book called Digital India by N.
okay,
Chandrasekharan. He has
mm,
explored various incidences among Indians where some of them were failures and they became one of the best entrepreneurs through their innovation and thinking after thinking about the system that they were participating in. So, systems thinking is very important. I have utilized my knowledge in it as a manager in community medicine also, and incorporated most of the information about systems research, qualitative research, translational research, so that people can actually enhance social health research in future and decide how to teach students, decide how they can incorporate this information in patient management.
yes. And when you say incident, can you explain few incidents to get to know this topic more?
There was this entrepreneur in Rajasthan who did his textiles engineering,
Mm,
and he started working in garment factories and earning money. But he was not
yes,
satisfied because of the low pay that he was getting. He
yes,
thought
ma'am.
after his marriage, he lured his wife to
Yes,
also participate in making this a success. He was not
yes,
able to. After earning money, after deciding to have a factory, there were so many bottlenecks that he faced. He he faced a lot of losses, and
yes,
after those losses, he suddenly had an idea to revamp the system. And in
yes,
within 1 year, he became very lucrative and very he could earn a lot of money, and he became a very known entrepreneur. There was one not non-success story about northern Karnataka where there was a very poor family who was facing debts and their fields got destroyed due to drought, so they relocated to Mumbai. So
yes,
when they relocated to Mumbai, and the children started going to school. The mother started becoming started doing housework, and
Yes.
the father, he was a rickshaw puller, auto rickshaw puller. They were earning quite a lot in subsisting, but they were not happy that they
Hmm.
left their fields. They were basically farmers.
Yes,
Then,
ma'am.
in one of the accidents, the father lost his leg.
Hmm.
So that was a real trauma for the entire family, and basic focus was on the child's education.
Yes,
Basic
ma'am.
focus was on the child's education. This girl was very good in studies, but she had to drop off from there and get back to northern Karnataka and take a very small piece of land and start farming again. So that was not successful. It was a sad story, but it was a systems failure family wise. So all those
Yes,
things,
ma'am.
like I have been into social health. So
Yes.
suppose this particular person comes to the hospital,
Yes, ma'am.
person with the broken leg. Now this is not in the book, but I'm telling.
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
the child faces depression,
Yes,
or the
ma'am.
child faces depression, or the mother, she ends up in ill fate like abortions. So any of
Yes,
these can be our patients. If we
yes,
are
ma'am.
treating them in similar manner as an affluent family where they have all the means to take care of themselves, then our treatment is
Yes,
incomplete. We need
yes, ma'am.
counselors. We need to know about the schemes that the government has for them.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
when we know the schemes, we can treat them for free. So
Yes, ma'am.
if the doctor is not aware of the schemes, if the doctor doesn't know what exactly has to do with behavior change, so that this girl, this woman, this farmer, they all become healthier in future and
Yes,
maintain their ill health and disability,
yes,
maintain their status quo and prevent disability.
yes,
Disability
ma'am.
has occurred, but the family needs emancipation. We cannot leave them
Yes,
like
ma'am.
that to cry on a small piece of land. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is the reason why I thought that this book would be good even for someone who is not a medico, but it is very essential for medical people so that at least in 15 minutes OPD time, if it's a
Yes,
15 minutes OPD time, the doctor should have the knack of percepting how much they can pay, what are their living styles, do they smoke, drink, what is the wife getting beaten up uh, by the son or the father-in-law or the husband. So those things, if we elicit, we can have a larger counseling session by some health educator or a social psychologist or a medical social worker or a doctor, whoever
yes, ma'am.
is concerned with it, or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So all these things can be done only after understanding what social health actually is. And this is a
Yes.
very comprehensive book. Everything has been included.
Okay, ma'am. That's an amazing insight. And
Hmm.
what do you think medical students struggle with subject of social health?
They struggle with the subject because we are mostly clinical people. We are taught anatomy, physiology, community medicine, they study. But in Park, it's a very small and short chapter on social health where they only learn how to calculate socioeconomic status. And that is very incomplete in their answers. If I ask them in exam in Viva, what are the social determinants of health? They take, I'm talking of MBBS students, not the postgraduates, but MBBS students in most colleges, they start thinking what exactly can we say? They start with mental health. They cannot enumerate economic, financial, education. None of them know about it. And
Yes, ma'am.
education has a lot of impact upon or gender. They can't relate gender, religion, nothing. They will not ask the general information, and they will start
Yes,
off with the social health, and they will say psychosocial, but they
yes,
don't know what psychosocial is. So life
yes,
cycle approach, I'm asking them, they do not know. I do not want to say this thing like it's not wrong on their part because we are MBBS students, we're not sociologists.
yes, ma'am.
So, so to make them understand the importance of social health, we need lecturers who can incorporate a lot of interest in it. And
Yes,
so that we can even make them do social health research, which is a very important part of community medicine curriculum.
yes, definitely.
And we have included social pathology for the first time in very much detail. We have described systems thinking, and it's a multi-authored book. And all the community medicine faculty has contributed very well. We have edited it with the help of Professor Rupini, who is also an educationist, and she is an environmentalist. I have been with her because of her uh, because of her contribution in medical education. She has been the director of SOITS in IGNU also. So
Yes.
we have both done a lot of work in compiling this book.
Yes.
And since you have asked, I will not derail from the question. It has all the social dimensions explained, like caste, religion, education, or you can say gender, life cycle approach in details, which you will not find in any of the contemporary public health books. Although
Yes.
in India it is not there, but there are old textbooks. Some very old authors have written about it, but
Yes.
it has not been obsolete in community medicine per se. Sociologists have written a lot about it. But
Yes.
as community medicine people, it's the first attempt and it's contemporary in the context that we still need it to treat patients. And it
Yes.
is going to help a lot of faculty.
Okay, that's great. And how does the Indian context influence your analysis of social health?
Indian context, like we are a diverse country. You will
Yes,
have
ma'am.
the rich and the poor, male female ratio, and there will be a lot of education disparities, cultural disparities, and
Yes.
socioeconomic status, caste, class disparity. In many of the
Yes, ma'am.
Western worlds, they have abolished the caste and class system in most of the
Yes,
developed
ma'am.
countries. But in India,
Yes.
it is still prevalent, and I feel that it is not totally wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes, if you see my example, like I went to Chennai for a
Mhm.
conference, and I was traveling through the city for just looking around, like how the city looks like recently in January. And what I saw is that homeless people there were so
Yes.
clean. When you
Okay.
look into the suburbs, it was absolutely clean, so much that I was astounded. And the way they wear their clothes, put their tika, and they're absolutely hygienic. So
Yes.
homeless in Chennai is better than homeless in say Odisha.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
get that point.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So in that cultural context, if we are talking about diabetes mellitus in a child in say Chennai, we are talking about fibrocystic disease. But if we are
Yes.
talking about childhood diabetes in Punjab, we are talking about genetic manifestation. We're talking about things like lots of sugars in diet, lots of fat in diet, and so
Yes.
diabetes comes up early in those children.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
those are the social contexts that we can talk about. Then,
Yes.
if parents are ignorant, very
Yes.
ignorant parents, then malabsorption syndrome in child might let them lose their baby because
Yes.
suppose they cannot tolerate lactose or they cannot tolerate wheat, they cannot
Yes.
tolerate normal food. The child will die out of malabsorption.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is ignorance. So ignorance can happen even in a very rich and educated person.
Yes, ma'am.
A mother who is about to breastfeed the baby herself is a doctor, for example,
Yes.
and her milk is not coming out and she develops mastitis, being a
Yes.
doctor.
Yes,
This is
ma'am.
very common. So
Yes,
these
ma'am.
are the things that is why social health is important.
Important. Yes, ma'am. And what role do social evils play in disease manifestation according to your findings?
Social evils
Evils.
are always contributing to disease. We cannot have someone who is a diseased person without social evils influencing him. If we have a mental disorder, then people will ostracize that person. They will start mocking that person. And if they're very good, if the people are very good also, they will be like, this particular person is a liability on us.
Yes.
So they will try to help that person in good stride that yes, this person is mentally ill, we are supposed to help him. But
Yes.
we will inside we will think that let our children be away from these people. Like
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
a liability in the family, and it's better that we send them to asylum. Same with old people. Old
Yes,
people,
ma'am.
when they become liability, then they face so many social evils like loneliness, lack of money, pension is
Yes.
not enough. So these strifes are there in every family. So
Yes,
how
ma'am.
to continue giving them medicine? If there are free medicines being distributed, how to ensure that they will keep coming to the doctor? So
Yes, ma'am.
accessibility and affordability itself is a social evil. Then
Yes,
stigma attached to sexually transmitted infections, menstrual hygiene, tuberculosis, leprosy. So these are some cultural constructs which happened long back ago when we didn't know the cause.
yes,
They
ma'am.
should be abolished by immediate effect. Because if
Yes,
you
ma'am.
take the first dose of tuberculosis tablet, you have already aborted first 4 doses of anti-tubercular treatment, and you're away from spreading it. You will
Yes,
not
ma'am.
spread tuberculosis just by 4 doses every day. Every
Yes,
day
ma'am.
for 4 days, you have just uh, converted. Bacterial conversion has occurred. So that means
Yes,
you will
ma'am.
not spread it to others. But what happens is, go back to your home. You are such a bad bahu. You brought us ill health. So many things.
Yes,
Maybe the husband is the carrier, but the woman faces a lot. So
ma'am.
those
Yes,
were the
ma'am.
things in my mind. So this
Yes,
is how social evil affects health.
yes, ma'am. Definitely. And
Hmm.
how can this book help in professionalizing health promotion in India?
It will definitely bring a social change.
Yes, ma'am.
Social change is very important. I'm not talking about being liberal. You can be very conservative, but the social change is that you are conservative for yourself, but not for the
Yes,
disease.
yes,
If the disease is there, you have to treat it.
yes, ma'am.
Any disease, if a doctor comes and says, if anybody goes to the OPD and the doctor is biased, that my
Yes,
diagnosis is correct and what the patient is saying is probably some bullshit thing, she's functional, she's this, she's that. So many names we give to the patient, but that
yes,
it might not be functionality, it might be a real problem. So to
yes, ma'am.
understand that this ignorance, misdiagnosis can be averted if we understand sometimes if we know the ethnicity. Okay, you are coming from which place? Northeast. Good. So malnourished. Oh, I see. Malnourished and northeast. So what do you think about it? You will think, okay, she's not eating well, but her diet is good. Then you slowly elicit drug abuse.
Yes, ma'am.
Drug abuse, when you elicit, then the treatment changes
Yes,
because
ma'am.
that's what is very common. They're very much tobacco consumers in northeast eastern areas. So that is how I would say that social change can be brought about by this book by understanding all these factors and improving the health services, workplace, individual uh, determination to become healthy, as well as families' orientation towards making their wants, the children healthy, their rearing, as well as their old people. So it's something like a medical social change. So that medical
Yes,
social change that has been so richly depicted in the book has been the motive for me to write it.
yes, ma'am. Definitely. And what challenges did you face while editing and compiling this book?
This is something which I can write without even referring to anything, but I thought that I was well adept with the jargons because even if I know the social health to write a book, we need to know the jargons. We
Yes,
coined the term sociomics also.
yes, ma'am.
Sociomics is a new term which is conducive to precision public health. And
Yes,
when I wrote this, I read around 13 to 14 to 15 to I don't know how many journals per chapter. So journals also, books also, and each and every author has contributed very well. So first editing, then second to Professor Rupini, third to
Yes.
me again. So we have
Yes.
been doing it very well, and we have tried to keep plagiarism less than 15%. So that means how much time we had given to each chapter. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is why it's a good book, according to me. I'm not saying it for myself, but I feel that people will like reading.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely, they will like it. And ma'am, can you tell us more about the collaborative efforts behind this project?
Collaborative efforts. I just mentioned all those authors from community medicine department everywhere.
Yes.
Each one is dear to me. They have contributed to the success of the book. And
Yes.
each chapter, even in the last moment, some of them said we cannot write another chapter. Like suppose there were few who said only one chapter. They first decided to write three chapters and two, then one. So it was all loaded on me. Then one of them I contacted and they said, okay, let's be co-authors for the same chapter. Half part I write, half you write. So we have been able to do that also. Professor
Okay.
Rupini is very busy with IGNU work and other works that she does, but her insights are really good. When I read, when I edited, she was okay. She was okay with it, but she was even more meticulous in editing it. So that means
Yes, ma'am.
not being a sociologist, only an environmentalist and not a medical, but educationist per se, she was able to do so well for social health also. So that is
Yes.
why her work is commendable, and all the authors have done a commendable job. No,
Yes.
I didn't face a very huge challenge as such in writing this book because it's in my tips. It's one of my favorite subjects, so it comes easy to me,
Yes.
and that is the reason why it didn't take so much of time for me to write. But editing, of course, was an issue with many people.
Yes. And how does your previous work on preventive and environmental cardiology connect to this book?
It's a preventive and social medicine, community medicine or preventive and social medicine. These are subjects which require sociology.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
a good cardiologist would suggest stress free life, and
Yes.
social health tells what stress free life is. Lifestyle management is important in cardiac disease management. So,
Yes.
lifestyle management in social health has been explained very good. So this
Yes.
is how they correlate. Environmental cardiology, we are talking about the built environment. In social health, we are talking about the social construct. Like even if you're living in an apartment or you're living in a juggi, you have a society to face. So,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
uh, those things give us insights about social health, and cardiology is all about lifestyle. What a very poor man who gets a heart attack will deal with later to maintain his life is different from a businessman who is very affluent who will deal with it later. So both of them
Yes.
are dealing with it, but we have to be able to bring about health in both the houses.
Yes, ma'am.
So he has to abstain. The one who is very poor
Yes,
should
ma'am.
abstain from drinking and smoking. The one who is very affluent should cut down on his fatty diet.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, what do you hope readers, specifically students, will take away from this book?
I will very shortly say that they will take away 6 or 7 or 8 words, which mean interesting theoretical and practical information and knowledge
Yes.
that will work with them for their entire practice time in their career, whether they are nurses or they are doctors or they are
Yes.
postgraduates or they are super specialists. This book is a must because
Yes.
without social thinking, we cannot bring about disease change. Because for prognosticating, if you
Yes.
have to, if someone is ill, if their social health is bad, their lifestyle is bad, then no matter
Yes.
how many medicines they eat, they cannot recover. But if someone
Yes.
is not ill and social health is poor, he will become ill.
Yes, ma'am.
That is the reason why it's very shortly described that it's a very good book and must read.
Yes, ma'am. And is there is any other project that you are working on for your future book?
We are working on a project, but I will not reveal it. It's on environment
Yes,
only because Professor Rupini wanted to take up another project and we are
yes,
working on it. I've allotted chapters. It will take around 1 year's time or maybe 6 months, depending upon how good we are at editing and learning from it. It's a very comprehensive book and very
yes, ma'am.
difficult to write. I'm writing
Yes,
food systems on it, food and everything we are doing. So
yes,
I've taken up food, someone has taken up climate change. It's a good book. But the problem is that it's very comprehensive and she's very meticulous. All this I directed social health, environmental cardiology, preventive cardiology. But
yes,
this environmental etiquettes is all her prerogative. So it's
yes,
not totally in my hands. So let
yes, ma'am.
them understand this. Right.
Definitely. So it was a great podcast session with you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me a chance to interview you.
Thank you so much.
And
I'm glad that I joined I collaborated with Astitva Prakashan. You people have
yes,
been fantabulous, good publishers.
yes.
And Literature Times, of course, good write ups and reviews. I'm very happy with your work. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.